squad. Every morning there's one who holds his fire. His dilemma is my system of belief. They fire rounds, but I am seldom in their circle. You're listening to Ear Candy with Renada Romain, and I'm Saul Williams.
Yes, he is, and he's back.
You're now checking out Renada Romain.
You gotta look like, who is that?
Who the hell is that reading my poem?
An imposter. No, folks, it's the real deal. Saul Williams, welcome back to the show.
Yo, it's a pleasure to be here. What's up? Good morning.
You have such a great energy about yourself.
Thank you.
And I love your look. I know, I was kind of like trying to take a look at his outfit, and he's like, it's just clothes, but it is an expression of who you are. You look different from the last time. You were a little hip-hop last time.
Well, yeah, I was more in my holler if you hear me mode, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I was playing around with the idea of that character more. Yeah.
Do you design your own clothing?
No, actually, this is by a Haitian designers named Ron and Ron.
Okay.
And so no, I don't design my own clothing, but I have a keen eye for design.
Yeah, c'est passé na boulé. Do you speak Creole?
Non, je parle français, mais je parle pas.
Sagafet. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Je m'appelle Renada.
There you go.
That's all I know. I would love to learn though.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
French.
for me, I learned from like being immersed in cultures. I used to live in Brazil, so I speak Portuguese, and I used to live in France, so I speak French.
Nice.
Yeah.
You are worldly. I love it. So now let's get caught up.
All right.
Because the last time you were here, you were starring in the Broadway production. We call it the Tupac play.
The Tupac play, Holler if you hear me. Yeah, which was crazy because, it was a play that was not about Tupac's life, but it was a play that restricted itself to Tupac's text and writing a story about gun violence in the Midwest. And the play was kind of like too political or too politicized for Broadway. It didn't last very long, but the week after it ended was when Mike Brown was killed. And so I ended that play and then find myself in the street in the middle of protests talking about the same exact thing the play was talking about. You know what I'm saying? And from that you see Black Lives Matter and all that.
Right.
And that's really what the play was about. That's all the play was about.
Now, do you think if it was a biopic, if it was about his life, do you think it would have been received better?
Not necessarily. It could be. I think the play was started by August Wilson. It was really, and directed by Kenny Leon. It was beautifully written and conceived. Yeah. I think people would give someone a harder time trying to play Tupac in a play. Maybe. I have no idea. Right. I don't think it was about that, although celebrity factor is huge in the States. Yeah. But I think it was just about realign entertainment with escapism so much, so you're choosing between like Rocky the musical, which is going to make you dance and enjoy and feel great, or you're going to go see this play which is going to make you angry and maybe cry and feel like what's wrong with the world, and maybe you don't want to spend your money to go feel that way when you feel that way on a regular basis. Yeah,
but now we have Hamilton.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, maybe Holler if you hear me, kick the doors open for a play
exactly.
like Hamilton.
Exactly. And of course, Hamilton is a beautiful play, wonderfully conceived by Lin-Manuel, and wonderful in terms of diversity, and it is political, the choices that are made there, but it's not necessarily about, gang violence or gun violence in middle America and police brutality and all the stuff that goes down, that play was talking about. So he found a really smart way of approaching hip-hop and U.S. history and all of that, and it's beautiful.
I have to be honest, after watching Holler If You Hear Me and listening to some of Tupac's music, like California Love, I don't listen to the songs the same way I think of you guys on that stage.
Oh, yeah.
We'll come back to Saul Williams, the actor, the activist, the poet, the spoken word artist. Shall I go on?
I have no idea.
The fashionista.
Oh.
We are in good company today. I'm Renada Romain, your ear candy. Saul Williams is having some breakfast with us. So now you just dropped an album.
I just dropped an album called Martyr Loser King.
Okay, one more time.
Martyr.
Loser. King. Please explain that one.
What's to be explained?
Martyr Loser King.
Martyr Loser King.
You have to explain that.
There are a million Martyr Loser Kings. You know what I'm saying? What? Michael Brown is a Martyr Loser King. Tamir Rice is a Martyr Loser King. You know what I'm saying? There's just so many Martyr Loser Kings. This is, you know, what it is in many ways is, I mean, on one hand, it's a concept album. So it's a story, that's a screen name of a hacker that lives in Central Africa who becomes sort of like a virtual Banksy, and it's the story of his life, not the album. The album is really just songs surrounding that story.
Okay.
It's accompanied by a graphic novel that I have coming out a year from now when the second half of the album comes out.
Okay.
So I've been working on this graphic novel telling this story, and I wrote an album surrounding it.
Right.
And it also has a film that I'm developing right now.
Nice.
And so that's that. It's a multimedia project, Martyr Loser King. I mean, yeah. I mean, I enjoy words and titles, you know. And so I heard someone French trying to say Martin Luther King once, and they were like Martin Luther King, and I was like, it's kind of brilliant, actually.
So that's it. No big deep meaning behind.
I mean, there's a lot of deep meaning within the album if you check it out. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of deep meaning within it, but overall, it's the title is like a tag. You know, it's a tag over something that sounds familiar that you get and that makes you think. You know, it just piques interest. Martyr Loser King. Yeah, well, it's a brand.
We are in interesting times.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly.
You mentioned the Black Lives Matter movement earlier, and we've been seeing, you know, a lot of young people, you know, just standing up.
Yeah.
You know, fighting back. You know, having a voice.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on where we are? You know, our community today.
Yes.
We're going into a presidential election.
Yeah.
Just what are your thoughts on just the climate?
Well, I mean, like you said, it's a highly politicized time. I think it's wonderful that we have so many like articulate young people speaking up and speaking out and doing their best to disrupt the systemic and structural like racism that exists, you know, in so many different aspects of today's society, but particularly in the criminal justice system and what have you. These are things that we all know need to be approached. You know, like the main thing that we, people like you and I, see is just the fact that a new generation is waking up to stuff that we've known all of our lives, and because we're all connected through the web and our phones and social media, we can now like chronicle it and say, see, this is what I'm talking about, and that helps.
Right.
It helps that we have witnesses. We have so many witnesses now.
Yeah.
And so that shows you the power of witness.
Have you ever gotten stopped?
Oh, several times.
What do you do?
Several times. I do what my mom told me to do when I was like 5 years old. You're just like on some, yes, sir, I'm reaching for my wallet now.
My hands are up. I'm turning on the lights.
I'm turning on the lights now. I'm reaching in my back pocket to retrieve my wallet, sir. You know, that's what my mom told me at 5 years old. Like, if you ever get stopped, do that. You know what I'm saying? But I've also been harassed by police while I've been out protesting. You know, I'll never forget because, you know, not only, you know, have people been hurt and jailed, but they ripped my favorite jacket, NYPD. And you said, you call me a fashionista, so I'm like, what? They ripped my favorite jacket.
No, they didn't.
You know, that was after Eric Garner, and we were stopping up.
So you were in Staten Island?
No, I was here in Manhattan, and we were about to stop up the Triborough Bridge. We marched up like a West Side Highway.
I was there.
I was there too.
Because dude from CNN was over there. I was on the West Side Highway.
Exactly.
Chris Cuomo, and we started saying F CNN.
Exactly.
I was out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And so then we marched across 125th, and we're going to the Triborough Bridge. But at the time when they ripped my jacket, I was, you know, we were doing a die-in on the sidewalk.
Okay.
You know, so we weren't even impeding traffic yet.
Right.
You know, but they still became violent. You know.
What do you say to people that feel as if marching and boycotting is just a waste of time?
Well, I think they should look at the history of marching and boycotting. You know, like when you go for... There's a lot to be said about visibility. There's a lot to be said about, you know, not only impeding traffic, but impeding business. You know, like when you stop up a mall, when you stop up a freeway of people trying to shop and all this stuff, it does have its impact, like people going out on Black Friday and stuff like that. Right. It has its impact. It definitely has its impact. And it's an amazing time for a new generation to be learning about, you know, the exploits of capitalism and big business and trying to, you know, impede, you know, the forays of the 1% and the whole nine. I think that everything serves its purpose. So I think those people who do have it in them to be out in the streets and to picket and boycott, they definitely serve an important purpose. Right. Just like those of us who are in school and studying law and right. finding ways, you know, to take things to court. Exactly. Or what have. Everybody has to play their part. Right. We're all working together for common good.
Exactly. I like that. Let's play something off of the album. Word. Horn of the Clock Bike.
Horn of the Clock Bike.
Now, you know you have to explain that.
Oh, it's nothing to explain, really. I wrote that when I was in Haiti. A lot of this album I wrote in different places as I was traveling. So in Senegal or in Swaziland, nice. In Reunion Islands, in Haiti, in Paris, blah, blah, blah. This song I wrote while I was in Haiti. And so there's an amazing sculptor there named Giodo. And I was there for the Ghetto Biennale in Port-au-Prince. And so, like, for those of you who don't know, if Jamaica is music, right. Haiti is visual art. Oh. Like, there's one Haitian artist we all know who goes by the name of Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Yes,
When you arrive in Haiti, you look at the artwork and be like, oh, this is where he's from. You realize that his work is connected to a lineage of work that is not always similar, but sometimes similar, right. and expands on those ideas in amazing ways.
I've never been to Haiti before, but I've been to Dominican Republic.
Yeah. Same island, other side.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that something?
Yeah, I mean...
And then you have a lot of Haitians. Yeah. In DR.
Well, there's a horrible thing that has gone on over the past year in terms of like Haitians that have been in DR for 70 years, born in DR, working there as workers, not given papers, and being kicked out and thrown back to Haiti when you have people who have never been to Haiti but are Haitian, but and being, you know, shipped out to Haiti. That sort of thing is horrible, you know. White supremacy is crazy, especially how it affects people of color. Yeah. You know, like you see it here with like back in the day we used to call it being color struck. You know, light skin, dark skin, all this stuff. The idea of some Dominicans not identifying as black until they come to America. Right. Yeah. And then are like, oh.
You see it in other places too. You see it in Panama, places like that. Oh,
you see it in Asia. You see it in Asia. You see it in India. The idea of just like, you know, light being better. You see it in Mexico.
Yeah. Hold your thought right there. Yeah. Horn of the Clock Bike. Clock Bike.
There you go. Horn of the Clock Bike. Exactly.
I'm going to get it. It's Saul Williams. He's so deep, man. I love it. Dear Candy Mornings, wake up. Saul Williams. No mediocre. Do you like this stuff, Saul?
Yo, if I have to listen to this, I'll take mediocre all day. Wow. Honestly, I'm like, you know, do I like what? Misogyny over beats? Wow. Not necessarily, you know, but I'm into, like, I like when cats have flows. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for example, someone like Young Thug.
So you're not shishi-foo-foo about it?
No. Like, Young Thug, I can listen to all day. I don't need to understand a word. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, like, I'm on it. I'm like, that's fucking brilliant.
You guys should collab.
Oh, I'm down with it.
Really?
I'm down. I'm 100% down.
But it's not like if he's saying anything of substance.
Oh, but you'd be surprised how it's not about that. I'm talking about style. I'm talking about stylistically. Okay. You know, like even like, you know, that was T.I. You think of like, for example, like, yo, early T.I., mixtape T.I. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like Trap T.I. Yeah. That stuff was super inspirational to me. I wrote a whole book called The Dead MC Scrolls listening to T.I. Wow. At that time. You know what I'm saying? Motivation, ASAP, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That stuff I really felt that stuff. So it depends, you know. There's tons of cats. Like, for example, I'm into Project Pat. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's tons of stuff that I'm into. Right. But I'm really judging on if you're not bringing anything new stylistically and you're talking nonsense, I can't take it.
You can't do it.
Yeah. I can't take it.
Let's talk about some things that are currently in the news. So it's Black History Month.
It's leap year.
Is it?
I'm born on leap year.
You are?
And so this is my year. Yeah. Oh. I'm turning 11 this year.
Nice. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I will have my 11th birthday.
Oh, that's special, though.
Exactly.
All right, so there are talks about Black History Month, whether it's necessary, okay. Should we have a Black History Month anymore? Your thoughts?
Oh, well, I mean, we have a Black History Month. Should we continue to do so? Well, there's a lot of things that would have to be done before we would begin to, erase that or eliminate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to up our game. I do believe, or realize that race is a social construct, but reality is based upon agreement, and we've all agreed to play by these terms. We identify as black, we identify as female, we identify as white, we identify as male, we identify as all these things. So if we upgrade our consciousness and start identifying as human and transcending all of the binary concepts that we fall into, as we do that, then some of these things will fall away. If we're more naturally inclusive in our history classes, for example, and we start to incorporate true First Nation history, true African American history in American history, then we won't need to do that when that happens. But until that happens, then we have to do what we have to do just for people to learn the truth.
Right.
Just for people to learn the truth.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
You're an actor. The Oscars, this boycott, should it happen or no?
For the boycott, I don't. For example, Jada Pinkett talked about boycotting the Oscars, but said, "I'll be watching." That's not a boycott. So I'm not even clear. Like, if you're boycotting the Oscars, you're not gonna watch it then. Right? If you're watching it, you're still giving them some ratings and energy. I think Chris Rock should show up and blow us all to pieces.
I think he will.
You know what I'm saying? That's all. I think Chris Rock should show up. If you're not nominated and you're talking about boycotting, that's not boycotting. You're not nominated.
Right. Her husband, though, was not.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. And I think for someone like him, I think it's a strong position. It's not the first time that he's spoken up about this stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He did it for
the Grammys back in the day. And so it's very true that Hollywood is not inclusive in terms of voices of women, in terms of voices of people of color, in terms of stories and the narrative and their approach. It's not inclusive. And so something needs to be done. I don't know if the boycott of the Oscars is necessarily the answer, but I think that the idea of us talking about it and the fact that the idea came up and it made us talk about it is worthwhile.
It's worthwhile.
So I'm definitely open to the dialogue. But I do think we need to be clear on what a boycott is. I don't think you say I'm boycotting it, but I'll be watching.
At home,
that's different.
I love your politics.
I love your politics.
Are you working on any films? And what's up with the acting side? Because the last thing I remember, and I know you've probably done many, but the last thing that's just on my brain right now is that Girlfriends piece.
Oh, right, of course. That was wonderful. I just wrapped on a film called Dream, which is a modern day version adaptation of the Shakespeare play A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, okay.
I play Oberon.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the Romeo and Juliet that Leonardo DiCaprio did in terms of we keep the language, but it's in modern times.
Yes.
This one takes place in LA. It's a great cast. And so that I just wrapped on. And then the other side is Martin Luther King. I am gearing up right now to direct my first feature, which is Martin Luther King, connected to the album that I just released, the graphic novel that's coming out next year, and then after that comes a film. Nice.
Well, I look forward to anything that you do, Saul Williams.
Thank you.
Martin Luther King is currently available. On iTunes, Amazon.
You could stream it on, Spotify or wherever. It's there. But we pay the poets,
Snap it up on that. Oh, wait a minute. You can't go yet.
Why not?
You think you're slick.
What?
You know when you come here, I just love for you to give me a little taste. Maybe a little spoken word.
All right, cool.
We can do that?
Here we go. Hack into dietary sustenance, tradition versus health. Hack into comfort, compliance. Hack into the rebellious gene. Hack into doctrine, capitalism in relation to free labor and slavery. Hack into the history of the bank as beating the odds and mere act of joining the winning team. Hack into desperation and loneliness, the history of community and the marketplace. Hack into land rights and ownership. Hack into business law, proprietorship. Hack into ambition and greed. Hack into forms of government, systems of control, the relation to suffering and sufferance. Hack into faith and morality, the treatment of one faith towards another. Hack into masculinity, femininity, sexuality, what is is taught, what is felt, what is learned, what is shared, hacking to God, stories of creation, serpents and eggs, hacking to nature, biodynamics, biodiversity, cycles and seasons, hacking to time, calendars, Descartes, its relationship to doubt, is it wired to fear, the notion of control, the space-time continuum, the force of gravity, whether the opposite of gravity is freedom. This is Saul Williams, Martin Luther King. Check me out. Hello.
Love it, love it, love it. Saul Williams, it's always a pleasure. Please come back for breakfast. We could just talk about what's happening in the world.
Let's do it.
Now back to these uncensored commercial-free hip-hop hits.
You're now checking out Renada Romain.
From the last time, you were a little hip-hop last time.
Well, yeah, I was more in my holler if you hear me mode. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I was, you know, playing around with the idea of that character more. Yeah.
Do you design your own clothing?
No, actually, this is by a Haitian designer. Haitian designers named Ron and Ron.
Okay.
And so no, I don't design my own clothing, but I have a keen eye for design.
Yeah, c'est
You know?
passé na boule. Do you speak Creole? You gotta look like, who is
Who the
that?
hell is that reading my poem?
An imposter. No, folks, it's the real deal. Saul Williams, welcome back to the show.
Yo, it's a pleasure to be here. What's up? Good morning.
You have such a great energy about yourself.
Thank you.
And I love your look. I know, you know, I was kind of like trying to
Just
take a look at
clothes.
his outfit. And he's like, it's just clothes, but it is an expression of who you are. You
Of
look
course.
different.
Every morning I rise and face the firing squad. Every morning there's one who holds his fire. His dilemma is my system of belief. They fire rounds, but I am seldom in their circle. You're listening to Ear Candy with Renada Romain, and I'm Saul Williams.
Yes, he is. And he's back.
You're now checking out Renada Romain.
Non, je parle français, mais je parle pas.
Ça
parle pas
fait.
créole.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
Je m'appelle Renada.
There you go.
That's all I know. I would love to learn though.
Yeah. Well,
In
I mean, for
French.
me, I learned from like being immersed in cultures. I used to live in Brazil, so I speak Portuguese, and I used to live in France, so I speak French.
Nice.
Yeah.
You are worldly. I love it. So now let's get caught up.
All right.
Because the last time you were here, you were starring in the Broadway production. We call it the Tupac play.
The Tupac play, Holler if you hear me. Yeah, which was crazy because, you know, it was a play that was not about Tupac's life, but it was a play that restricted itself to Tupac's text and writing a story about gun violence in the Midwest. And the play was kind of like too political or too politicized for Broadway. It didn't last very long, but the week after it ended was when Mike Brown was killed. And so I